Oh, hello there. Fancy meeting you here. Anybody would think that you only turn up when I'm unboxing some model railway items. Well, let's not disappoint. I'm Jenny Kirk and welcome along to another box opening and review video. Now today, what I've picked out is this. I've had my eye on this in the shops for quite a while, and it's quite a pretty little livery, very, very shiny there. And it's catalogue number 34-331. And this is the 50ft Stanier Parcels van in Tartan Arrow livery. Now, the actual coach itself is one that's been in the Bachmann range for an awfully long time. And the 34-331, well, the 34 at the front of the catalogue number, does show as this to have been one of their earlier offerings. But it was a good coach for its time, so it really does still hold its own. And because this particular coach went on for a lot of use in departmental use, things like that, it does have a lot of options for different liveries, which is always good for the collector market. This one is no exception, and I've been looking at it in the shop for probably nearly a year now. And I reached a point where there'd always been something that I really wanted more than this. It's like, oh, I'll get that locomotive, oh, that new thing's come out. And I reached a point where I thought, actually no, if I don't get around to buying it, they're going to sell out. So I picked myself one up. So without further ado, let's get this thing slipped on out from here. Now, whilst this has been in the range, the Bachmann range, for well over a decade, if not more, this is the first time that I'm aware of that it's appeared in this very distinctive Tartan Arrow livery. Now we can see here, we've got it out of the outer box, standard Bachmann blue and red box, and then we've got our plastic insert. I'm going to just lift this clear, and we've got a bit of the old foam there, just to, again, stops the coach from rubbing in transit. Now, one thing I do want to show you here is we've got a little extra moulding there, comes stuck in a bag, and these are gangway connector doors, so you can put these, they just slide into these gangway connectors, and it means that this coach, when it's at the end of a train, for example, you can have it so that the end connectors look right, rather than showing off the door there, which is not how they would look in real life. I'm going to leave that in there for now, but what I can see here, first off, a very crisply applied livery. Now, whilst this is an older model, it was very well made for its time, and I'm trying to think what iterations Bachmann have actually released of this. I know they've certainly done the LMS livery, and they did several different running numbers of that, one of which I do have in my collection. Then they also did Crimson and Cream, BR Maroon, BR Blue as well. I've got a couple of those. And they've also been released as special commissions. Model Zone did a couple, one in Engineers Yellow and one in Weathered Parcels livery. But this is something a bit different. Now, it's a livery which could have been done quite badly, but in Bachmann's credit, it hasn't. It's been done very crisply, and in particular we've got this tartan livery there with the sort of arrow motif, and that's come through very, very clear, despite the fact that there's probably needed to be several passes of the tempo printing gear to get that, and there's no bleed over whatsoever. The rest of the lettering, this tartan arrow, is quite narrow lettering, but it's come out ever so crisp. And then we've got this sort of orangey colour. I've not really seen that on any other British Rail rolling stock. And then we've got this crisp sort of white. I suspect in actual service these things were probably very filthy very, very quickly. Now that colour scheme continues right round each end, and you know, I've seen on some coaches they have black ends, but on this the livery wraps all the way round. The roof is quite a dark colour. Now that's actually darker than some of the previous releases of this coach that I've had. But again, Bachmann will be following prototype pictures. We've got odd bits of separately applied detail. There's some handles on the roof, and these are at the top of the access ladders. I'm looking down the side. Yeah, all of the handrails are actually moulded on. But in all honesty with you, you wouldn't notice except to have a really close look, because they're very finely moulded, and also they're now picked out in black paint, so you get a very good impression of them being separately applied detail. The underframe detail is quite Spartan compared with what I suppose we've become used to of late, but as I always say, what is the point of having detail that you can't really see unless you lift it up like this off the track? To me, that's just pointless additional expense. The actual bogies there, they're fitted with the narrow tension lock couplings, but instead of having the close coupling mechanism which the later Bachmann branchline coaches have, these are just very much like things like the China clay opens with the separate screw-on ones. But in all honesty, it works pretty well, so I'm going to let that one pass. Some of the detail on the brake rigging is very clunky. Instead of having an open triangular frame, it is just, well, it's almost like a tube, a triangular shaped tube, and some of the other details are a little bit lacking on the inside, but it doesn't really matter at all. The wheels are very, very free spinning. The bogies are just screwed on there, which makes them very easy to change and take off and mess about with. But the brake shoes don't line up with the wheels, and obviously this is quite an old model. I wouldn't say it's getting long in the tooth, but certainly there's certain aspects of its design which have been superseded with much newer models. There's not much in the way of printing on the sole bar details. We've got a couple of the little star points which denote where the, I think where the blowdown for the brake reservoirs would have been located, which would have been like a ring with on a wire which you could pull to drop the air or the vacuum from the reservoirs should the need arise. There is some lettering, very, very tiny. I suspect it's something to do with load distribution in this coach, but such is my eyesight these days, I can't actually read it, but I have every confidence, as I've said many, many times before with a lot of the other offerings from Bachmann and Hornby, that it is so well realised in the printing process that under magnification it will read perfectly. Well, that is pretty much all there is to say about this coach. It is an interesting livery, which I bought mostly because I thought it would look pretty good in a display cabinet, but certainly on a model railway this would add a bit of variety to the coaching stock that you can use running around. In terms of time periods, I think that this livery dates from, I suspect, early to mid-1960s. It's earlier than it looks, if only because the British Rail corporate logo is missing from there. But nonetheless, it doesn't look out of place running with much later coaching stock, in my opinion. Anyway, that's all we've got time for today. Don't forget to like this video and share it too. And this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying you take very good care of yourselves. And until next time, yes, next time indeed, bye for now.